it's the first of many good days. Because like way I roll, baby, way I roll is different. The way I roll is different. God has allowed it to be that. One, two, one, two, three. I am a guy from a place. Charm City Bibber, Marquise the Vandal. Marquise is the name my mama gave me. I'm here. Here on a day. A day I'm grateful for, but I'm here on a day. And let's get to it. Quote of the day. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebrating him today, observing him today. That's all that will be observed today. Outside of the other things that are taking place, realistically. Can't completely ignore the foolishness. But our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. That is one of the quotes. And the second one is, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Yeah. Sit with those. Song of the day. Say It Loud. James Brown. Released 1968. I believe Dr. King was assassinated around that time. I believe the same year. Say It Loud. I'm Black and I'm Proud. Very powerful song. Very intentional song. And a reminder of the ways that we can express ourselves through art and say something that'll impact a generation. Respectfully, generations to come. Say something, do something, create something. Shout out to James Brown. Grateful for ancestors who made the ultimate sacrifice. It's number one. Ancestors who made the ultimate sacrifice. They refused to accept the status quo, and their decisions served as a reminder of what is possible. We live in a time where there's a lot of reasons to be fearful, but there's also a lot of reasons to be faithful. And I think that we can find a lot of clues and get a lot of references for what faith looks like by looking at the lives of people like Dr. King, looking at the lives of people like Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and looking at present day individuals who are constantly pushing the needle forward. We have so many creative individuals in Hollywood, in art spaces, in tech, in medicine. We have so many awesome African-American, Black, color individuals of African descent around the diaspora just doing beautiful things. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that very much. I recognize that a lot of things that are taking place in terms of our division is based on people getting invited to the cookout that don't belong there. Some of them are just not like us. They're not like us. Shout out to the West Coast. The number two gratitude is the practice of yoga. In every way, it's benefited my life. I'm a yoga instructor. I practice yoga, and I recognize that I had a lot of limits in my life. Yoga has helped me to acknowledge those limits on and off the mat, find more flexibility, find more forgiveness. There's 7 states of mindfulness, or 7 tools for mindfulness: acceptance, forgiveness, trust, letting go, forgiveness, non-judgment, non-striving, and beginner's mind. And as I observed each one of those tools, I found different ways to respond to things taking place in my life. Sometimes I'm not always perfect. I mean, who is? But I'm not always mindful about how I approach things. And then I have to do some cleaning up. And in that cleanup process, I recognize, okay, I could have responded this way. I didn't. Now I can make some decisions and change my actions so that my apologies aren't just, hey, I'm sorry for what I did. My apologies are, this is what I'm doing now. I understand if you got new boundaries you don't want to be in my life. That's for friends. That's for professional spaces. That's for whatever it may be. But just starting to acknowledge the ways that yoga has benefited my life is a major blessing. I'll be expanding on that concept as well. Prayerfully, God willing, I'll keep doing different concepts on here, but this is one that I'm starting with, and this is my second gratitude. So yeah, shout out to yoga. This new day, sleeping peacefully, that's number 3. This new day, it's a new day in front of us, a new day to set some new intentions, to do some things differently, maybe to do some things the same way that we've always done them, because those consistencies are benefiting our life. But maybe it's an opportunity to just change some things, to look at some things, reframe some things, the ways we think, the ways we speak. And sleeping peacefully has been something that sometimes I overlook because I forget about those nights that were sleepless. I forget about those nights where I'm trying to get to sleep and struggling so poorly. Yoga has helped with that. Yoga has literally been a benefactor in ways that some people don't talk about. I mean, there's the vanity of it. I turned sexy after I started doing the yoga, but outside of the vanity, there is just this endless, just wow. That's because of the practice. That's because of the breath work. That's because of this space I'm putting between certain things. I'm learning how to set boundaries. I'm okay with setting the boundaries and saying things and speaking up because of this practice. So yeah, shout out to peaceful sleep. Shout out to a new day. And God, the God who makes it all possible. I am a big proponent of faith. I don't think I have a faith concept that will work for everybody, but I know that it works for me. And I'm grateful for the people who it benefits when I speak on it, when I share my testimony, when I share the different things I've gone through. God has been a constant in my life. And I'm grateful for everything that's made possible by God. This thing that I'm doing is blessed by a power greater than my own. And I think that whatever your faith practice looks like, finding security in it and finding a space to not have to explain it to other people or have it be approved or invalidated by others is very important, especially in this time where we're entering a new regime and really an old regime, because it happened before. And a lot of things that took place were overlooked, but they were very detrimental to a lot of people in our society. So as we enter this space where, oh, you can't don't tell me what I can't do. It might result in some moments that are contentious. It might result in having to fight for your ability to continue to do things. And we're going to have to step up. I'm, again, praying and hopeful that we can maintain some nonviolence. But this is a strange time. Like I said, there are things that have been implemented that don't benefit everyone, and the people that it is benefiting are only wanting it from a place of ignorance and hatred versus like, oh, I'm doing this out of love for you. How are you doing something that I was not consenting to out of love for me? You're bringing a religion back to school. You're bringing religion back to the school building, but only to benefit a certain sector of society. And then you're not speaking on the full weight of the religion. Like, so you're cherry picking what parts of the religion work for you. And shout out to number 4, the God that makes it possible. Gratitudes, and now we're going into the reflections. It isn't wrong just because they say you're right. What am I a reference for? And your voice is our voice. It isn't wrong just because they say you're right is something that sits with me a lot, because when I was growing up, there were certain things where like, oh, it's not a problem. You can say that. And I'm like, well, that guy just told me it hurt his feelings. And it doesn't feel comfortable to see the pain that he's in because y'all are saying is right and this is the status quo. Literally the quote I started with, right? Our silence about things, our complicity with injustice, our ignorance, our intentional ignorance, our I'm not going to look that way because it doesn't fit my positive outlook and what I'm after. Like these selfish things that are being qualified, they're being validated. Your selfishness is righteous. It's like, I don't get it. But it isn't wrong just because they say you're right. Like, is still wrong. And having that internal compass, especially in times where people will validate your egotism, they'll validate your narcissistic tendencies. They won't hold you accountable, especially if you don't hold yourself accountable. That's a really big thing for me. What am I a reference for? Something I'm reflecting on because I recently had someone reach out to me to tell me that one of their students did a project based around things they saw me doing, and it was like, oh, that's cool. And it made me sit with it a little deeper in terms of some of the things that I'm thinking about exploring and being louder about because I don't want to be a reference for negativity unintentionally. I'm not in control of what people do, but I do have the ability to curate the ways that I show up in society to benefit others. I have a lot of things that are really fun to me and important to me at times, but their importance, I don't want their importance to outweigh the bigger things I'm working on. So yeah, I think about that. What am I a reference for? Am I a reference? What reference and possibility am I showing young Black children, young children in general, people going through trauma, people across the globe who randomly come in contact with my podcast and my energy? Like, what am I a reference for? And I think about the people that were a reference for me growing up: the Princes, the Michael Jacksons, the Jay-Z's, the Aaliyah, like the musicians, and then the Ben Carsons. And it's like a lot of people I'm mentioning have histories that don't work for everybody, and that's just more of a reflection of the wholeness of an individual. I'm starting to be more intentional about honoring my wholeness. Like, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to align with all your values, but again, the parts that I control are intentional, and I'm grateful for the parts that benefit people. Your voice is our voice. Your voice is our voice is important to me because it is, again, a reminder that my silence is harmful at times. My silence is also a benefitter. Like, it benefits people when I'm just not going to speak on something. They're like, right, we're not going to speak on that collectively. But your voice is our voice. And I may be able to speak on something that you didn't know how to. And I'm grateful for that. But I just think about the artists who are silent at times, and I'm like, yo, like, you write better than me. You sing better than me. You do these things better than me. And like, it's not even comparison, but it's like, I'm not going to be able to reach some of the individuals that your voice can speak for. So when you're silent, you're keeping that whole demographic of people that are waiting for somebody to speak up for them in silence and pain and hurt. And I just love to see the new artists who are way more expressive, that are talking about concepts like bisexuality. They're talking about concepts like going to therapy, drinking smoothies, drinking their tea, forgiving people that they didn't think they could forgive, forgiving themselves, choosing different alternatives than the ones we knew prior, where we have artists who were traumatized and they chose drugs and hypersexuality. It's not inherently an issue, but it's the ways that we go about these things. It's like finding this balance between pleasure, discipline, finding this balance between my selfish needs and my needs and the overall needs of everyone, that my like my desire to get them, or my wants, my desire to get my wants is impacting. Because sometimes, okay, I want to do this, but it's actually harming a lot of people. Like, is this going to benefit my family? Is this thing that I'm doing that is so about me in this moment really worth it? I don't know. It's my thought at times. Your voice is our voice. Yeah, it isn't wrong just because they say you're right. What am I a reference for? And your voice is our voice. These are thoughts that I have and some things I try to do my best to live by. A poem to share. A poem to share. To share. May not change the world, but I'll surely plant a seed. It started with a vision in a space that can't be seen. The arrogance of man is stopping man from being freed, bound and chained to idols and false systems of belief. Can only speak for me, but I affirm that it is possible. With the way my mind is set, my movement is unstoppable. I won't focus on lack or things that can't be had. That tree bears rotten fruit, from that there's nothing to be had. Done with looking back with resentment for my past, moving forward with a stance that's positive. I command myself before others to be the best that I can be. Every day I'm in this world being what I want to see. Yeah, So it's funny because like, oh, that's my own poem. But each line meant a lot to me at a time while I was teaching. Um, I think about mentors who said, "Be the change you want to see." You don't have to change the world, but you can change yourself. One of my mentors, love her, love her, love her, love her. And she said, if I just change one person's life, I've made a major impact on the world. And I just love that. Because sometimes it's one seed. It doesn't have to be this grand haul. I'm a very extreme individual at times. I'm not gonna lie. So I be wanting to, I did. And then it's like, ego, go sit down and stop. You know, my brother sent me this thing. He's like, confidence is calm, ego is loud. It's like I got a little bit of both. I know when to be calm, but when that ego, that's why I said it's like knowing yourself, right? I got some friends that can do certain things and they don't show up the way that I show up. I do certain things and whew, it's different. It's just different. So yeah, I may not change the world, but I will surely plant a seed. I will surely plant a seed. And even that's inspired by Tupac. Like just that thought of I might not be the one who changed the world, but I sparked the mind that does. Like, no, I love it. I love every ancestor and just every elder who has benefited my life with their wisdom and the decisions to do something that doesn't feel completely right at the time, but is right. It eventually is proven right. Just because they're saying it isn't wrong doesn't mean it's right. And just because they're saying it's wrong because they're not ready for it in a time period doesn't mean it's not right. They're saying it's wrong because it goes against their dollar incentive. It goes against their vision of safety, their desire to maintain whatever it is that they've had, and that's cool. But there is a point where we got to acknowledge this thing that we're blessed with is a gift from a source greater than our self. Like, I'm not here because of me. And I'm going to leave this space at one point. I would love to leave it better than I found it. So, yeah. Shout out to Dr. King. Cool down. Put my feet flat on the floor. Place my hands on my thighs, on my quads, sitting up tall. You can close your eyes if you want. I think I'm gonna close my eyes this time. Relax your shoulders. Hold it up. Exhale. Hold it at the bottom. Inhale. Hold your breath at the top. Exhale. Hold it. Inhale. Exhale. Cool 3 rounds of 3-6-9 breath. Inhaling for 3 seconds. Pausing at the top for 6 seconds. Exhaling for 9 seconds. Pausing at the bottom for 6 seconds if you would like, or however long you feel is comfortable at the bottom of your breath, which is after the exhale. Breath work is important. I mention it a lot. It helps regulate the nervous system. It helps with anxiety. I think of all times like where I was about to hit the stage in high school to share a speech or a poem, and I was just so anxious. And the last thing I was thinking about was my breath. And I look back, like everything I was experiencing could have been a lot simpler if I slowed it down And I laughed because I was such a know-it-all. I'm like, I'm doing it. No, I'm trying to do it. Really making space for it, being it versus I'm trying to slow down. It's like, no, I'm actually trying to maintain this space of anxiety because it's comfortable. This anxiety is familiar. It's also related to traumas I experienced as a child. So high tense situations were like the things I'm seeking out, and I didn't recognize that was why I wanted to do it so bad. I wanted to test that and see if I could succeed. And slight thrill seeking, just a little subconscious thrill seeking. But man, that first poem I did, dry mouth, my stomach is like caving in because I'm not breathing. It's all chest breath, heart pounding, palms sweaty, standing in front of everybody in the school. And I did it twice. First time was like, oh, thank God I didn't pee on myself. Thank God I didn't stumble over my words. Thank God that like it was just a blessed experience and it inspired other people. And like I'm literally having had experiences like that remind me of the things I was mentioning. My voice was a lot of people in that room's voice. I had teachers. I was failing some of the classes. I had teachers coming up to me like, I get why you be in that notebook so much. I'm like, thank you. It was just these fun things that just made me feel a little more comfortable about the things that I wasn't so great at. I wasn't the best student, but I love to learn, and I still do. So just finding that joy within your own experience. And I'm hoping that this can serve as a reference for another way to approach this and another vision of what a black man in society is. I'm not confused about who I am, and I love who I am. That's why I chose Say It Loud as a song. I'm black and I'm proud, baby. And this is my piece. I am a guy from a place, Charm City Bipper, Keith the Vandal. Marquise is the name my mama gave me. I hope that wherever you are, you're there blessed. I believe that one day made better is many days made greater. I uplift you to be in a world that cares. If we keep it to ourselves, I think that's unfair. The joys we're given are best when shared. The visionaries never die, legends survive through the seeds we are sowing daily. We get better with time. May all that you build in private with God in love be blessed abundantly in public. To that I say, bit, bit. Play.
We were searching for the right way, did a lot of wrong. Can't go back, gotta move on. Gotta move forward with corrections given and accept the living. Still brings pain, even when you're moving with the best intentions. And you blessed with visions of joy, bliss, peace. Gratitude for every day I live to speak and I live to breathe in growth and abundance. Traumas get healed when the shadows confront it. I know my truth, I wear it in public. Meditate, pray, and give praise when I rise. Keep a clear mind and the planet stays high. Came here with everything, came here perfected. Took on some bags that I thought were protection. I let it all go, every limit. Grateful for peace in this life that I'm living. Glad to say the cycles are finished, complete. And I'm still on my feet, wishing you peace. Wishing you peace. Wishing you peace. Thankful. Peace.